Hello and welcome. In this video, we'll talk about whether or not the RTX 4070 is still a good buy. Almost nearly 2 years since release, we're now looking at whether or not, as we phase out from the RTX 4000 generation and are right around from the corner of the RTX 5000 announcement at CES 2025, whether this card is still a good mid-ranger and still the go-to for most gamers who don't have deep pockets to spend. We got a big surprise with the RTX 4000 generation, not just in terms of spec differences between the RTX 4070 and the 4080, a chasm if you ask me, but also price chasms as well. The RTX 4070 and the 4080 were completely different class of cards altogether. In this video, I'll give my subjective experience of having owned the RTX 4080, the Intel Arc 750, the Radeon 7900 XTX, and of course now the RTX 4070 over the past 2 years, and give you what I think is the sweet spot for gamers even as we go into 2025. And of course, with the announcement of the Blackwell cards at CES 2025 and Trump coming into power, we're going to have some other effects here, some other concerns here that will affect pricing and GPU availability coming into 2025, as most certainly prices would be going up with trade and tariff wars right around the corner. That said, should you wait for the Blackwell cards and buy the latest and greatest, or is it still worth it to spend a few dollars less and to buy a refurbished, a used, or perhaps even in a second-hand market RTX 4070 for your gaming, content creation, and all-around graphics needs? So we'll take a look at it from the perspective of, can it do 4K gaming? How does it handle at QHD? We'll look at some benchmarks here. I'll talk about my subjective experiences as a content creator, the NVIDIA toolset, the NVIDIA app, the NVIDIA drivers experiences at launch of the latest AAA games, and whether or not I have been able to enjoy gaming at 4K as well as content creation due to the baked-in AV1 encoders, and of course the advanced NVENC and H.264 and H.265 encoders that were present in this generation. And we'll say a few words about ray tracing as well. It's made its way into tons and tons of more games since the launch of RTX, but now is it, into a second or third generation RTX cards? Are we still looking at a playable experience, or is it more of a hit and miss? So we'll talk about a few of these things here, look at some benchmark charts, and summarize this for what I think might be a very interesting summation at the end of this video. So stay tuned and let's jump right in. Despite the RTX 4070 having been superseded by the RTX 4070 Super, we're going to be looking at the original RTX 4070, the OG, for the particular duration of this review. And the RTX 4070, of course, with all of the RTX 4000 series, features more streaming multiprocessor cores, 4th generation tensor cores, and 3rd generation RT cores, of course with lots of additional goodies such as NVIDIA Reflex, DLSS 3, NVIDIA Encoder, NVIDIA Studio, Game Radio and Studio drivers as well for productivity and for game. Lots of advanced encoders such as AV1 encoders and H.264 and H.265, better, higher bitrate encoding, and of course the RTX library of games just keeps growing and has become a very long and lengthy list of games that support both DLSS and even more so frame generation as we head into 2025 and into the RTX 5000 generation. Now, I could talk endlessly about how many numbers of multiprocessor cores, how many hardware features, how many gigabytes of RAM, what speeds the RAM are, and so on and so forth, and just talk my way through the spec sheet here, but that isn't what this video is about. More importantly, the video is going to focus on what has it been like to live with the RTX 4000 generation overall, what I believe has been the claim to fame for the RTX 4000 generation, and as we head into the next generation with Ada Blackwell, is it still viable to buy or invest in an RTX 4000 generation series card, and whether or not, if you're a budget gamer or if somebody who likes to stay one generation behind or keep an eye on that budget and pocketbook as well as while you're still able to enjoy your games, is the RTX 4000 and particularly the RTX 4070 going to be the right card for you? I'm going to share here my experiences. So we'll begin first by looking at the actual gaming benchmarks that I've done here. We'll take a look at some of the charts here and talk about what I believe the overall performance and the story says about the RTX 4070. Well, I think none of these benchmarks here should be a surprise to any of you, particularly if we look at these graphs here 4K, QHD, and of course full HD for these three benchmarks in a few different games here. We'll see an overarching trend here that the 4070 is a powerhouse at full HD and QHD resolutions, but it's no slouch at 4K resolutions either. Now mind you, most of these benchmarks here were completed with the highest resolution preset or highest graphics preset in the games. So we're talking about 4K 60 plus frame rates here in ultra or highest or maximum settings in all of these games, with the exception of one or two games such as Cyberpunk 2077 with the RT Ultra preset, because simply the RTX 4070 does not have the prerequisite tensor cores or the RT cores needed to be able to get good frame rates. For that, you really need to get into a 4080, but a fantastic showing for a 4K card at about $500 US. And of course, certainly no slouch when it comes to video editing and content creation. This video that you see here was edited on the RTX 4070 on the latest desktop that I've put together. For more information that, go and check out my build video, which includes an Intel Arc A750, a Ryzen 9900X CPU, and of course the NVIDIA RTX 4070. So as we can see here, panning through the timeline, seeing those pre-rendered animations and transitions, everything is simply just smooth as butter. Most of my video game captures here are done at about 100 megabits per second using the AV1 codec, using that Intel A750 card that I've got dedicated so I can get maximum power from my 4070 for those gaming sessions, and of course for streaming as well. That said, most of the time when I'm capturing content from my camera, which is a Sony FX30, I'm using about 150 megabits using the AV1 codec to capture as much data as I possibly can, since that camera can render up to 422 at 200 megabits per second and in full HDR. So that said, a lot of flexibility here and lots of power using the AV1 codec, and of course those NVENC H.264 and H.265 engines as well for content creators, including NVIDIA Broadcast and all of the other utilities. And of course, no content creation or gaming workflow is complete without good drivers. And I've got to say now, with the latest NVIDIA app coming into real fruition here, this has really been a fantastic uplift to the overall gaming drivers and configuration experience. NVIDIA has now rolled everything all into one inclusive app. I had lots of issues last year with the 7900 XTX at launch, with Davinci Resolve, for example, not supporting it, and tons of other issues with games crashing initially upon launch. Love to see that always get a better and more stable experience right out of the gate with NVIDIA drivers, particularly when they offer first day drivers for many AAA titles upon release. As for pricing, the RTX 4070 offers the best bang for your buck, as the range for 4070 pricing from the 4070 all the way to the 4070 Ti Super Tier can range in price $400. On Newegg Canada, you'll be seeing prices around $700 for these cards, with often one on sale for around $699. You can also look at Best Buy Marketplace or Best Buy as first-party sellers to buy some of these cards as well. Of course, if you're looking to save a few bucks, you should certainly be considering the refurbished cards or the open box deals that are often had at these retailers. If you look at some of the third-party sellers, you should be able to snag a nice deal, as I've done here with the ASUS Dual card for the RTX 4070, well under $500 US and certainly under $700 Canadian. You can certainly have those deals. Just be careful not to see people who are completely out of touch on eBay sellers who are basically just marking up the prices significantly beyond what you would get even from a new card. And finally, to wrap up and conclude this video, we'll take a look at a ray tracing benchmark using Black Myth Wukong's built-in benchmark here. It's the latest game. It's quite taxing and very heavy in terms of graphics power. So we're running here at the high graphics preset with full ray tracing turned on and set to very high. Of course, with DLSS set to balanced and frame generation turned on, we get a very decent console-like plus experience. So if you're interested in the PS5 Pro, you'll be getting basically something for a few $100 less and have much more versatility with the RTX 4070 for editing, rendering, graphics, AI, workstation work, and lots more possibilities. Of course, you'd have the possibility of a great resale value too, as well, as the RTX 5000 generation rolls in early next year. So I think overall the value proposition for the RTX 4070 is absolutely fantastic. I did consider saving a few extra dollars and going for a 4060 Ti, but the performance jump was quite significant. So for all of you who are interested in gaming first, or gaming quite as equal a workload as content creation, video editing, AI, or any of the other generative workloads that you're going to be interested in, then I think the RTX 4070 is a great proposition. I'm running here at 4K resolution, and I think this is a fantastic experience here. Of course, you can tweak the settings a little bit further or turn down ray tracing to medium instead of very high, and perhaps you get a bigger jump up in frame rates here. But certainly the fact that we can even do ray tracing at this level in a mid-level card or a mid-segment card is absolutely fantastic. The visual quality is superb. You do see a little bit of frame stuttering though, and I believe that's due to the high frame times here. We're looking at close to 30 milliseconds. Love to see that in the singles or perhaps in the low teens, but nonetheless, I think we can't have it all and eat our cake too, if you will. So I think that's all for this video. It's going to wrap it up here. My subjective thoughts on the 4070 is a fantastic value card, a must buy even as we go into the 5000 generation. If you're looking for a GPU now or just need to snag a holiday deal, don't hesitate, pull that trigger. I think you'll be very happy, and in a few short months, you'll be able to swap this on the used market quite easily and jump yourself into the 5000 generation if the pricing is attractive. So thanks very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Click that bell icon to get notified when there's new videos on this channel. And please share this content across your other social media channels to help this channel grow. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.